every Friday going forward, we will be here to talk about productivity, have a mastermind about productivity. Again, this is 9 o'clock, and think about it this way: it's all about being more effective. It's all about saving time. Now, everybody on this call has been through the Insane Productivity Program by Darren Hardy. That is what gave birth to this program. I think what makes it special is that, first of all, the mortgage coach community is a community of the most successful mortgage professionals in America. So we've got just great professionals in this community of ours. Darren brought Insane Productivity and Mortgage Coach. We've now put hundreds of mortgage professionals through this 12-week program. We will tell you during this call how to sign up for the program if you haven't already signed up. And we'll always close with, hey, if you haven't gone through the 12-week program, go through it. But, Todd, Bookspan, and myself are the two co-hosts of this call. What's up, Todd?
It's exciting. I'm looking at who's here, and I see some new friends that have joined up. I'm so excited to get some feedback and hear what's up from the rest of the mortgage coach community and how they're doing with their own productivity.
Love it, man. Well, hey, get ready to take the reins, and let's try to get questions from all the folks on the call. Also, we have what we're going to call mentors. They're top-performing mortgage professionals that have now been through Insane Productivity. So I don't know if Danny's going to be on today's call, but, we've got three mentors. We've got Danny Hirani, who not only has done a whole lot of loans, he's done a whole lot of total cost analysis. So he's a power user, a mortgage coach, and a top producer. We also have Michele Town, super producer, who's also done hundreds of mortgage coach reports. What's up, Michele?
Hi, everybody. Happy Friday.
Good to have you here, and thanks for volunteering your time and being a mentor to this new program, this new community. I am hugely grateful for it. Cool. And then we also have, Jen Plessis, another top mortgage coach who's also a top producer, who does a lot of speaking, training. She's got her own podcast, just an incredibly dynamic leader in the mortgage space. And Jen, thanks for being part of this program and being one of the first three mentors to be part of it. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here, and I appreciate the opportunity to share.
Right on. So we want to make sure we get your questions answered. The more engagement, the more participation from you, the better. So we, myself and Todd and the other mentors, we always find that when we're hearing ideas from the trenches, when we're getting questions from you, it's a better call. So for those of you that are on the call, you can raise your hand and go to meeting, and we'll call on you. Sometimes we'll even call on folks that haven't raised their hand. Although, don't worry, if you don't want to talk, you don't have to. But to kick things off, I see Troy Root. Troy, I've unmuted you. How you doing, my friend? It's good to have you on the call, and you always bring a lot of value to this community.
Thanks, Dave. I'm not.
Hey, go ahead. Do you have any questions or any success stories to bring to today's conversation?
Well, this week I got back into doing this, back into the jam sessions, and with those new to the call, they're going to find those are valuable. I think it was Tim Brahim. He called it a little bit different, but just those 1 hour blocks. I mean, I got off for a couple of weeks and completely forgot how important it is when it comes to productivity.
Yeah, no doubt. The jam sessions are hugely important. By the way, you did mention Tim Brahim. I did want to showcase that I had interviewed Tim and Caleb LeGrand this Tuesday. It was a fantastic call. Caleb is an incredibly productive mortgage professional. Also interviewed Tim on a Skype interview. This week. I think it was Monday. So this is brand new. So check that out, productivity community.
That call Tim was great. I listened to it last night, and a couple others. It was phenomenal.
Yeah, it really was. By the way, I'm doing a follow-up to that. I did get a few questions from people that said, hey, that's great. We're going to help realtors convert leads. It would be great if I got 50, leads from realtors. But then I had some people reach out and say, but how? Great idea, but I'm a loan officer. How do I follow with 50 leads? And so I'm doing a Skype interview with Wally Elderberry today at 1 o'clock. who runs a big team for Cornerstone, and I'm going to be, so keep an eye out for another Skype interview hitting the YouTube channel later today, and I've got a few other top people to interview on that whole how to help realtor convert buyer leads. So stay tuned on that. All right, well, hey, I'm going to bring in Todd, my other leader, and some of the mentors. Start the conversation out. Troy, if you do have another question or you want to add some value, raise your hand and we'll unmute you. Sound good? So Todd, I'll leave it to you to get the conversation started. If you have any topics you want to bring into today's conversation, rock it out.
Absolutely. So, I always would say a couple things, right? Number one is like Dave said, if he calls on you, don't be scared. We just call it empowerment here, and ask a question, talk about a struggle, talk about a success story. These calls are always great when we hear from all of you. We've also got the question section where you can type something in as well. Don't feel like if you're not familiar with Darren and his insane productivity work that you can't contribute to the call. We know there's lots of other thought leaders out there around productivity, and those of us who are mentors and leaders of the call, we've all been through insane productivity, so that's going to be certainly the direction that we're coming from. But I would tell you that when Darren talks about jam sessions, right, building champions, we talk about it as on time. When you hear Darren talk about his bookending his day and his morning routines, we've talked a lot about the morning miracle from Hal Elrod and other things. And so what I always love is that Dave does such a great job then of telling us where he's highlighted these people, where he's interviewed these great people. And so I would always throw out there, I think these Skype interviews, Dave, that you're doing are really awesome, because oftentimes I get the feedback, people are like, well, I don't have an hour to listen to, one of these interviews. But for me, I always think that some of the best homework that you guys in this community can do is go back to the YouTube channel for Mortgage Coach and just listen to some of Dave's stuff in there. And I'll tell you that the secret for me has been, once I realized that YouTube allows you to speed up the speed now, it's kind of fun. What speed do you listen to stuff at, Dave?
I actually still listen to it at kind of the normal speed, so it's rare that I speed it up. But I hear you talk about that a lot, and it's funny, even when you were just now mentioning it, I'm like, I need to start trying that. So far, man, I'm like normal human speed, but I probably need to speed it up.
Well, think about how fast I talk, and it's actually like even faster than that. So maybe you couldn't listen to some of these old calls because I talk too fast, and then you have to slow it down. But I always find, unless the person has a crazy accent, or unless they truly talk ridiculously fast, that's a way better way for me to listen to stuff and get a lot done in the time that I have. So that would be sort of my homework, certainly to all of you, would be to look in there and pick a couple of interviews, especially these short ones. And there's no doubt. Ibrahim is the master of scripts, right?
Hey, by the way, Todd, Ed Gladesbrook just jumped in and said he listens at 1.5 times normal. And then John Murins just jumped in and said, how do you speed it up? You mind speaking to that real quick?
Yeah, it's in the bottom right. There's a little wheel kind of thing down there. Let me just jump into YouTube real quick on my laptop. So I'm going to multitask, which you guys will all find is just really one of the things we shouldn't, we shouldn't be doing. By the way, guys, I'm going to be in YouTube. I just opened up the Tim Brahim call, and I think you're talking about this little wheel right here, and boom, we can speed it up. So I'm showing everybody on the screen as we speak. You're in YouTube. You have this little wheel right here, normal, 1.2, 1.5, and you can even double, go 2.0. So we had. Well, I got that. Yeah, Audible goes up to 3.0, which is like, kind of like ludicrous speed. It's a little bit crazy. And I've been listened to a lot of podcasts on iTunes, and that'll go up to 2 times. And I mean, again, it's one of those things. I'll always listen at some point in normal speed so that I can hear what the rhythm of the call is and how people are talking. But there's certainly some great opportunity to learn, and I think if you can squeeze it in shorter time and still absorb it, that it's a good opportunity.
Roger that, my friend. By the way, I see some new folks in here. It's great to see that the Facebook post I put out got to some folks. Also, we will be marketing this just like we market our Tuesday interviews. We'll be marketing our Friday Productivity Mastermind. Adrian Webb, what's up, man? It's good to have you on today's call.
Hey, thank you, Dave. Absolutely. Glad to be here.
Good to have you. So, by the way, any challenges from a productivity standpoint you're having, or any specific productivity ideas that you'd like to make sure we talk about today?
Actually, just similar to kind of what it looks like it's about is and I've talked to both Todd and Michele about growing a team, and then just what task each individual does, and managing that system in a way that is consistent and repeatable. So that's kind of why I'm here. We've got another team member we're looking to add, but I feel like we can be better even with the members that we currently have. So we're really looking to try and grow, and the people on this call are obviously already there, so I'm excited to hear what they've got.
I'll make sure that's on the topic list, and both Michele and Jen, if you could be ready to speak to that in a few minutes here. Let's see, I saw someone else that I wanted to call out to, that Gary. Gary, you sent me a Facebook question yesterday. I don't know that we want to get into that today, and let's make sure you and I talk soon, but what's up, Gary? Gary Harlan, what's up, man? Are you here? All right, Gary. Well, if you do get a question or a challenge that you want to make sure we talk about today, I'll unmute you again. Oh, Gary just put in, I'm here, but I'm not mic'd up. All right, I will take you off mute. Gary, feel free to put in a question if you want to talk about it today. Also, he submitted an idea to me on Facebook yesterday, just about how we can be more effective and efficient delivering a mortgage coach with an email. I don't know if that's a topic for today, but I'm not opposed to making it a topic. So it's just a thought. Again, I'm going to take one more look for questions, and then I'm going to hand it back to you, Todd, and then let's make sure we bring in Michele and Jen to at least start the conversation around how to use your team to be more productive. All right, no more questions so far. Todd, to you.
It's interesting. So for those of you who don't know, I'm a coach at Building Champions, and one of their programs that I've been part of now for it's my 10th year is called the Masters Coach, and we get together once a quarter, and there is 42 or 43 members now, from a couple of CEOs down to some rock star producers leading big teams, and a lot of the names and faces that are interviewed here by Dave, over the last couple of years. And ironically, we spent 3 days last week together talking about priority management and all of this. And it was interesting because there was a lot of really similar themes, right? What Troy said with jam sessions, on time, people were struggling with that. Email was probably one of the other areas where people were really struggling on the email front. Multitasking was a big one. We had a top, kind of a producer panel up there where people, we had everyone from someone who's a CEO of a mortgage company and still uses a day timer and does everything by hand, to other people who are like, gosh, I don't even have a piece of note paper anywhere in my office. Everything is fully electronic. And so, it's kind of fun that there's so many different ways to get to the same result, but in the end, everyone's kind of had the same struggles. And so it was kind of fun to hear sort of how people got through that. So I'd love to hear, Michele, you've been on so many of these calls with us and are so dialed in. What are you seeing right now as the big challenge when you're dealing with your team or other originators that you're talking to?
Thanks so much, Todd. So I actually can attest to something I had to do on Monday. So I apologize for missing the meeting last week, but I had lost my pretty strong right-hand person, and it threw me in a loop. I didn't think I was so reliant on that person until they were gone, and I had to start off I do a Monday jam session with my team for the first 15 minutes before we start getting into all the details. And as a leader, sometimes we have to admit when we make a mistake. And I had to admit to my team that, I had not been present for the last 2 weeks, and that in the absence of leadership, what comes? Chaos, right? So I apologized to them. That's how I started out our meeting. And I realized that the loss that I was feeling was not just a loss for me, it was a loss from the rest of the team, because we are such a huge family. So I let everybody absorb that, and I went back to basics this week. It was very eye-opening, because the 3 people that are remaining on my team, and we have one new person joining, I asked them, I said, what's our mission statement? And what are our 3 major core values? And nobody could answer the question. And I started laughing, and I go, okay, so we went back, we went over what our mission statement is. We went over our 3 core values, which is positive impact, compassion, and excellence. And this past week, we've had some of the best dialogue with our clients. When I hire somebody, the first thing I ask them is, to come on the team is, why do you want to be here? And what do you think I can help you, what can I help you with? And if somebody is motivated strictly by money, that doesn't work for what my core values are. You can see there's no money in there, because I believe that with those 3 core values, the money comes afterwards. And I don't want a money-oriented person. I want somebody who's really, because our mission statement is to provide excellent service to a client in the most important financial decisions they'll make in their life, and hope that they start with clients and end with family. That is our mission statement. And it was so great to watch the team come together. It's one of the reasons why I don't like emails. I like phone calls to clients, because it helps us connect personally. But I think as a leader, what I learned this week was that when I disappear, my team disappears with me, and because I am their leader, and I don't want to do that again. So I have a reminder every Sunday night to come up with something fun in the morning on Monday, and really keep them engaged and part of the team, and not allowing me to disappear, because I couldn't measure it. I didn't know why I was gone until I was gone, if that makes sense.
No, I love that, and I appreciate the transparency. So if any of you have any questions for Michele around that part of leadership and the core values, I would love to hear from you guys. We got a great question here, which I'm going to throw at Jen. John Murin says, what is the best way to reboot when you get stuck? When you stuck, and with life getting in the way? And I know, Jen, you probably have some great ways to get out of the rut of life taking you off of your focus.
Excuse me. I'm suffering from allergies. I apologize. Yeah, I do. Please make sure, Todd, that we go back to what Michele was saying, because I'd like to piggyback something on that in a few minutes. But yeah, for me, the reboot, and I think, and I coach too, and this is something I hear all the time, is getting off track. And one of the things that I've tried to help people understand, and maybe this, and I'm not real sure about the content of this question, is this off track during a day, or is this off track over a month or 3 months? Okay, so I'm going to address both. So the first would be, if you're off track in the day, I have a saying, and that's don't erase it, replace it. So don't erase the activity that you are going to be doing, your jam session, or a meeting with your team because a client called and it set you off track. Don't erase the activity. Just find another place in that day to do it, because if you erase it, so let's say, for example, you're making your calls every day, prospect calls every day, or calls to clients every day, and you miss it a day, and you say, well, I'll just go ahead and make all of them on a Friday. I'll just catch up later on. You're not actually catching up, because the consistency is what makes your success so powerful. It's not doing nothing and then jamming everything into one period of time to try to accomplish it. So my advice on a daily basis would be, don't erase it, just replace it into another time in that day to ensure that you get it done. Okay, and that'll keep you on track. And we realize that we have bookends, in our business. I've talked about this before. We have these bookends, and chaos can ensue within the bookends, but as long as you finish and start and finish your day accomplishing the items that you had set out to do, your 3 most important goals, as Tim says, or your 3 number 1 priorities, as Darren says, is, as long as you can do that, I would bookend that in a day. Now, the big picture to get yourself off track. We're drifters. That's what we do in our business, right? We tend to be drifters, and so I'm acutely aware of drifting all the time. If you're finding yourself drifting, like as Michele was saying, because that's really what it was, is sort of drifting, things take you away, and you lose your focus, and you start doing that drifting. The best way, in my opinion, to reset is to make sure that I have one additional jam session that's not for projects, not for putting a presentation together, or doing loan analysis, or whatever it may be, but it is strictly to do a checkup from the neck up, to go back to your business plan, go back to your tracking, your matrices, talk with your team, and get a checkup from the neck up, but do a specific jam session that addresses that.
No, and I'm glad that you brought that up, because although we talked about jam sessions, we didn't really give a definition of that to the crew, right? It's working on your business, not working in your business, right? We all get caught up working on loan fires and working on problems and getting interrupted by people who have questions, and this is when the do not disturb sign is up, and you're saying, all right, for the next 30 minutes or the next 60 minutes or the next 120 minutes, don't bug me. And you've got to empower your team to be part of that. They've got to know that they're not allowed to bug you when you're doing a jam session, that you're really focused on your business. And so I love that. I love that suggestion. Hopefully John will chime in and say whether he's got more. There we go. So let us know.
Real quick,
any other ideas to jump in, Dave?
Yeah, I do want to jump in. So I'm going to post this in our Facebook group, where John, you posted what are some of the best ways to reboot and get back on track. So, one, I encourage our community to, add suggestions and ideas on that. Real quick, I just want to kind of unpack almost like a checklist of what I just heard from Jen. I love that idea, Jen, scheduling a jam session. No better way to get tracked than have some on time. By the way, kind of going back to what Michele said, if you really heard what happened to Michele, she had a reboot. She lost a key member of the team. She, lost her presence and leadership with her team, and she rebooted. She had a meeting. She owned it. She went to the core of the pyramid, which are values and purpose. So, I think between what Michele said, what Jen just said, I'm sure Todd and I could add more things to do, but those are some great things. And then I guess the last thing I would say, John, is, just forgive yourself, man. Best way to, stop digging a hole is just stop digging and don't be mad about it and forgive yourself. And then I think you heard it all. Our team laid out some really great ideas. And please, folks, if you are new to this group and you are not part of our private Facebook group, do a search and ask to be part of it. I'll approve you. And we do have a Facebook group that helps us collaborate, communicate. And remember, this is a mastermind. So while the theme and the topics are productivity-based, the format is mastermind. You've got some leaders, you've got some mentors, but everybody has great ideas, and everybody should be engaging. So, Todd, back to you.
No, and I love that. And so I wanted to go back to Jen, who said she wanted to go back to what Michele had said. So let's jump back in there. And what were your thoughts on that, Jen?
Yeah. So we do an analysis that asks some questions, and this is why I wanted to come back to this, is as a group, okay, as a team, you can get together, and I think this is a great exercise for everyone to do. Now, we started doing this on a quarterly basis. I get my entire team together, and 3 of us at one time, so visualize this, imagine, a room of 5 or 6 of us, and 3 of us at one time play a different role. One of us is the note taker, one is the responder, and the other is the question asker. I guess that's the questioner, the interviewer. Sorry about that. So you have those 3 roles, and everyone else is quiet during that time. And what happens is that we ask ourselves some questions, and it allows me to make sure, and this will help you, Michele, allows me to make sure that we're all on the same page, and that someone isn't drifting, I'm not drifting, there isn't something I'm not aware of in my team. So I want to give you the questions real quickly, and I will, Dave, because I know how you are. You want me to post these up there, so I will get them up there. But you ask the question like this. The one person takes notes, copious notes. The other one says, I'm going to ask you a question. I'm going to keep repeating it so that you don't have time to think about it, because you want genuine responses that just come off the top of the head. Okay, so the first question is, I'm at my best when? I'm at my best when? And the person has to keep responding and saying, when I'm left alone to work. I'm at my best when? I'm at my best when? And they say, when I don't have interruptions. And so you get all these crazy little answers, but what you're going to start seeing is what describes, you know, how your team is going to perform. By just very quick words or very quick sentences. And they don't have to be professional. They can also be personal things. You know, I'm at my best when I eat right, right? And so it helps the whole team come together as a family. The second question is, I wish my teammates would. I wish my teammates would support me more, congratulate me more, appreciate me more, know my goals. Know that it hurts or offends me when this happens. Teach me something. You know, you'll get all kinds of responses. The third question is, I wish I had time too. I wish I had time too. I wish I had time too. And there's some more questions too, and I'm not going to waste our time today, but there's 6 total questions, and I'll get all of them up there. It is very eye-opening. Now, what happens is the interviewer then switches spots, and we have that same repetition go on for 30 seconds to a minute each person. Does that make sense? So you have your visual there, you got your big team there, you're watching 3 people interact, they spin around and they interact again and they interact again, and then you have a few more people, and you can decipher it however you want. But when you compile all of this data as a leader on your team or in your company as a leader, compiling all that data, you'll find where the leaks are in your team, in your process. You know, that's another question that we ask is, my process is simple, easy, frustrating, convoluted, not technical. I get frustrated when. So I'll put all these questions up, but I think that if you took the time, and this gets back to sort of the reset too, is to try to avoid resetting. Not that I have, believe me, we all have to reset, we all drift, but to avoid resetting, I try, to avoid resetting, we have a scheduled quarterly meeting where we do this exercise. I want to see that we're progressing. And what you'll find is that if you're an independent loan officer working on your own, and then you hire a loan officer assistant, and then you have a couple of people, and then you have a big team, the problems you had and the frustrations you had at the beginning and the answers to those questions are completely different as you progress along. You'll have new challenges and new issues, and you always want to be addressing them.
No, and I love that. And so how often are you guys addressing the overall vision of the team? And my reason for asking that question is I often find when a loan officer makes their first hire and they get that right-hand person, he or she really loves that one-on-one relationship that they have. And then as I've seen people grow their teams bigger, oftentimes that first hire who didn't see the vision up front then gets frustrated that the team has outgrown what he or she thought was going to be the future, which was just 2 people working. And then all of a sudden now there's more people and more voices, and sometimes they get frustrated. So are you talking vision through in that meeting as well?
Yeah, well, that's the whole purpose of it, is to address those issues, address how we're going to change things. So if I see a pattern, I get frustrated when I can't reach Jen, let's say. That's an example. Then we want to stop right there and say, okay, how can I be more present? How can I be more reachable? Could I block out time so that everyone knows from 11 to 12, if you have questions that you need me to address, that's when we address them. Would that help everyone? Would that help us get to our vision? And digging deeper and saying, you know, you get frustrated when you can't reach me. Why? What's happening there? Is it because there's a lack of training and they can't move forward from where they're at? They're stuck. Is it because we want to serve our clients better? And we want to up-level our customer experience, and them not being able to get a hold of me doesn't allow them to do it. So we're asking very deep questions so that we can have a very rich relationship with one another and outside of our office too, and deliver that impeccable customer service. So all those questions, you know, as a leader, it's not always about production, it's not always about operations and our systems. Sometimes it's about the people. You know, we're a little bit of, you know, doing some social working and things like that. You know, I had my processor about 4 years ago had gained a lot of weight, and she got frustrated when she ate. She was upset when, and she had all these things that had to do with how she felt about herself, and that was affecting her work. And so we all came together as a team and said, we're going to help you lose weight, because that's what she wanted to do. So we encouraged, and we were her accountability partners. Hey, you don't have any more water on your desk. Let's get you some water on your desk. Hey, we're going to order lunch. How about a salad for everybody? So we came together as a team to up-level her on a personal side so that it would be reflected on her performance at the office.
Wow, love that. Love that. That's what a great way to rally around. What a great way to rally around the team. So I'd love to see some questions from the audience. No hands are up. Any thoughts or comments, Michele or Dave?
I'm going to jump in real quick. So first, Michele, be ready to go next. Michele did just post her mission statement and her team core values. So thank you for the transparency earlier, and then for sharing this for everybody. Hopefully it inspires many of you on today's call. Hopefully you'll also share your mission statement, some of your core values. You know, part of what makes this call great and this whole theme is it's a mastermind. So we learn from each other, we share with each other. So anyone else that has a mission statement or core values that you want to share and you're proud of, please do that. I do want to remind folks that we are taking this call out of the private Insane Productivity community. We're making it available to the entire mortgage coach community. So I would ask you to help us get the word out. You know, anybody in the mortgage industry that you think would get value from huddling up at 9 o'clock on Wednesdays and talking about productivity, invite them to this call. You know, while we're going to promote it to the mortgage coach community, you know, we're not checking to make sure they're an active mortgage coach member. So any loan officer that wants to come into this Friday call is invited. So you could go to my personal page and you could share this with, you know, anyone you think you want to share it with, whether you want to share it on your page or whether you just want to private message it to someone, you know, that you think would like it. Please help us get the word out. We want to turn this into a very robust group of like-minded mortgage professionals that want to focus on productivity. Also, I did want to just shine a light on the fact that while everyone was talking, I uploaded the Mortgage Coach Y worksheet, and I uploaded the 12 Insane Productivity reminders. So, you know, they're at the top of the, you know, timeline right now, but you can always go to files and anything that has been uploaded. For instance, Todd gave us all a big gift with his SAW activity tracker, and he also uploaded the Living Forward life planning tool. But, you know, two incredible tools for the Insane Productivity community, both the reminders and the worksheet, have been uploaded. So you all know how to get to those. Michele, I would hand it to you for any thoughts, topics, or questions.
Let me interrupt for 1 second. You said Wednesdays, and this is a Friday call.
Thank you, Todd. My ADD was kicking in.
All right, people were freaking out. I could feel it. So, all right, go, Michele.
I love it. So I'm doing the ludicrous portion of Insane Productivity. So I've gone through the regular Insane Productivity and I'm doing the ludicrous, and that's where I was listening in my car, and that's this weekend. So this is really down, and that's where it reminded me of my core values and to really get back on track. So I would love to empower somebody, because one of the most important questions somebody asked me, why should I use you? A lot of clients ask, why should I use you? If you're not a referral from an agent, or even if you are a referral from an agent, the question comes, why should I use you? And you have to be able to answer that question. And I do believe your mission statement and your core values, I bring in, here's our mission statement, and then when I go further into it and say, we do everything with a positive impact on you. We do everything with the best customer service that we can. We do everything for you with the most amount of compassion, because we know that this is going to be difficult. And I don't lose people to big banks because I don't have I know exactly what I'm doing. They know exactly why they're using me. And I've never had anybody say, well, the exception of one, he wanted me to send me my resume. But other than that, it really makes an impact. So I would really empower, Todd, if we can empower somebody and see if we can, kind of put them, not on the spot, but see if they can answer that question. And maybe that will help them develop their mission statement and core value as well.
No, I love the idea of empowering someone. Is anyone brave enough to raise their hand and say how they address that question, right? Scripting is such a big part of this community of people needing scripts and all that. Go ahead, Dave.
Well, but yeah, before we do that, Michele, let's put you on the spot. Have you scripted out why we do business with you?
Yeah, well, I actually go straight to my business statement, my mission statement, which is, I do start a little bit different. I say that I have been in the business for 30 years. My statement, my ultimate mission is to provide the best customer service that I can. And this, see, now you got me all tight-tongued. Yeah.
It's all right. Yeah. That's all right. We're having fun here.
Yeah. Hey, Michele. Michele, why should I use you?
There you go. Okay. Well, Jen, you should use me, because I have a team of experts that work with me. And we have developed our life goal to provide the best customer service that we can for you, with the excellence, the compassion, to help you purchase your most important financial investment of your life. And we really hope that you start as clients and leave as family.
Love it. And guys, this is coming from a team leader that does $100 million a year in volume. And you notice that it went to a high level. It was about life goals. It was about, truly caring. So does anybody else want to take a crack at that? As Todd said, raise your hand. We're not going to just call on someone for this one. And Jen, if you want to take a crack at it, I will tell you, I have put folks I've asked that question a lot of times. I've even done that. Like, if you listen to this interview I did with James Carmody, he spoke to that to some extent. The call I did with Jay Crowell. Jay is amazing. Man, this guy is just insane. If you want to listen to a really, 15 minutes and 14 seconds around, what it would be like to have an office meeting with Jay Crowell. One, I'm pretty sure he answers that question a couple different ways within this 15-minute interview. But I did want to give a couple interviews for anyone who wants to really crush that. But does anyone else want to raise their hand and answer it?
Could I say something? I love what you said, Michele. I'm just wondering, for the benefit of everybody and myself as well, have you assessed before you make that comment? Because I imagine someone's not calling you, because I don't get someone going, hi, my name is Jennifer. Why should I use you? There's a little bit of conversation that surrounds before that question actually comes up. So my question is, if I were, and this is a question for the whole group, if I were an engineer, okay, and I don't really care about the warm fuzzy that you just told me. Okay, I love it because that's me. But I'm wondering if something else could be done, if we could twist and say exactly what you say that resonates with the receiver, is my question. If you find that resonates with everyone, or do you find that you kind of change it up a little bit based on what you're hearing from the individual in their, in their styling, whether they might be a DISC, driven influencer, steady controlling. Have you found that works across all lines, Michele, or do you feel that you do things just slightly different. I just don't want us to leave this topic with everyone thinking they should give their mission statement if you in fact do make a change when you're talking to people.
I do make a change. If I'm talking to an engineer, I'm more on the factual, and I do. You're right. I do assess the person, but a lot of times I don't get asked that question as much as I used to. But I do always try to incorporate it in because I do believe that the personal touch is what the caring part of me is what makes me stand out. Listen, I'm really good at structuring loans. I'm really good. I do the best competitive rate that I can, but I try to always incorporate. I usually end if somebody doesn't ask me why they use me. At the very end, I always circle back and tell them, listen, I'm not a salesperson. I'm your coach. I'm in this with you. I want you to know that every person in my team is in this with you, and we don't want you to think you're alone in this process. So, please reach out to us with any questions. So I kind of incorporate it in almost every part of my scripting when I end an intro, but I do change. If I've got an engineer and I know they're just numbers, they can care less whether I care about birds and horses or anything like that, I won't do it, but I always try to influence them a little bit.
Right. Well, I just wanted to make sure that got out there because, I think it's wonderful. I just want to make sure that everyone understands. So what I wanted to just say real quickly is, in the absence of them asking you that question, okay, so we get plenty of clients that don't ask us, well, why should we use you, right? And we go, whew, thank God they didn't ask the question. Right? Maybe instead we offer a presumptive end to our meeting, to our conversation. Something along the lines of, I know you're probably thinking, what makes me different? Right? Or something along the lines of, before we hang up, thanks for your time today, but before we hang up, something that makes me unique and different is ... And so we offer it whether they asked or not, because what if they think of that question and the next guy gets the chance to offer the answer? I'm not willing to take the risk, so I'm going to offer it and kind of toot our own little horn, right? And offer that opportunity while we have them on the phone. It's not a question they asked, it's not a question you asked, but I want to make sure that you're real clear on why, what makes me different. And so if you don't mind, I'd like to take a minute to do that. Or, you're probably, as you're seeking and talking to everyone, thinking, how do I discern and differentiate each of the people that I'm talking to? So I just want to give you some ideas on why I'm different.
I love it. I love the education piece, right? And you're right. It should be part of your sales process to build that in, especially with, you talked about DISC, right? And understanding the behavioral styles, because I do love that you asked that question, because I do know there's some people going, gosh, that's not my clients. My clients are just like, hey, just give me the rate. What's the rate? Don't tell me,
right.
The airy fairy stuff about you, but I just want 4%. What's that going to take?
Yeah, I agree. And I think, that's a very important piece of this. Hey, Dave, by the way, that reminds me, if we can get Brian Buffini on one of your coaching calls, I think that would be fantastic. He's got the 7 personalities on a front porch kind of thing, and I'll talk to you about it later, but just knowing your person who's on the front, who's the front porch. Is this a rocking chair thinker? Is it a Sally Field, they love me, they really love me. What kind of client do you have in front of you so that you can become a chameleon to serve them better, based not on what you think service is about? That's the platinum rule, right? It's the platinum rule is, how do they want to be serviced?
Yeah, no. By the way, Jen, I've talked to the Buffini, and it's funny you brought that up. We've been talking about starting to bring some value to each other's community. If you wouldn't mind either emailing me or posting it on our group, saying, okay, I would love to have Buffini, and here is the topic. So be specific when I talk to his team. I will either do a Skype interview with Brian, or I'll invite him to this call, our Tuesday call. But I will absolutely make that happen.
Okay.
All right. Well, hey, Todd, I'm going to let you close out today's call. I want to remind folks, please help us get the word out on this. So whether you share the video that I posted in this group or the one I shared on my Facebook page, make sure you let your peers that you think would get benefit from this, make sure they know about it. Make sure when you do come back next week and in future weeks, have a question, have a topic, have something to share. Remember, the leadership of this call is someone who has been through the Insane Productivity Program. That is something we are all dedicated to. If you are listening to the recording of this or this call and you've not been through that training, there's a couple different places to sign up for it. So one, in the description of this event, there is a link to sign up for Insane Productivity. And then also, at least for now, I've pinned it to the top. So, there'll be a post towards the top that will have a link to it. For whatever reason, I'm scrolling. Oh, here it is. This will keep showing up. So, look in here, and then if you're having, oh, here it is, right here. Sign up for Insane Productivity with Mortgage Coach. And you can always email Mortgage Coach or support@mortgagecoach.com. So we've given you a few places to either sign up for the program, or if you want to put someone through your team through it, or you've been through it and you want to refer it to folks, you know where to do it. You could even take this post and share it. So Todd, I'm going to let you close out the call, and I'm just going to sit back and listen in. If I have something to share, I'll let you know.
Awesome. I love it. And Dave's funny because he doesn't want to make this a big commercial about Insane Productivity, but I would tell you that if you go to Darren's direct site and try to register for it, it's not available throughout the year. He just does it kind of in bursts where he's doing this big sales push. And so you definitely have an opportunity for other folks who need it to get it now instead of having to wait until Darren does it. And it's got the lowest price that it's ever sold at with Dave's scholarship that he does. So it's a great opportunity. And, I've just, obviously it's the basis of what we've been doing here, but I've really found it's been, super beneficial in my life. And you've obviously got a couple of other panelists here who are talking about how they've integrated it into theirs. As far as other questions, so I did love that John Urans did post one last piece in there. He said that his reboot started today when he hopped on this call. So, kudos to you. I do think that's the biggest challenge, right? You've got to make a choice to make a change, and you've got to make a choice to be proactive and not reactive. I do see, just so much where people are struggling with that. And I'd love to hear, Michele, maybe how you address that with your team. I've been really on a push with my team, realizing that their proactive prospecting time has diminished. I've got other friends and clients who do like a 2-hour push. It's mandatory. Their whole team is in there dialing in the mornings, no inbound phone calls. They're not checking their email. They're working out of their outbox, and they're super productive and have great conversion rates. I've got a team where people are spread throughout town at a builder or at a real estate office, and there's some people working in here, and they're kind of react all day, and they're not just always proactive. And so we've had this big push. How are you doing that with your team, Michele?
So pretty much same thing. We use phone burner. We bring in some of our leads that we brought in, and everybody has to put 20 people into that phone burner, and they don't stop until it's ran through its cycle on 20. So we try to reach out, and we integrate that 20 in with past clients, prospects that we've lost touch with, and mine is all focused on realtors right now and past clients. That's what I do 10 past clients and 10 realtors. My team does 10 prospects and then 10 past clients, because we just want to reach out to our past clients to really remind them that we're here. And phone burner, if nobody's used it, you download it, and you can actually have a pre-recorded message, so it's somewhat similar to slide dial, but it's a little bit less slide dial-ish. And what it does is it brings you to the live contact. So let's say I'm trying to get Gail Emery. When Gail Emery connects, it lets me know I'm connecting with Gail Emery. There's no lag time. And then I just immediately say, hey, Gail, it's Michele from RPM, just checking in with you. So that's what we do, and we do that 3 times a week. I don't know if that helps anybody, but
I love that. No, that's huge. And so yeah, slide dial the voicemail piece of it, but actually you're still dialing the person and the computer is dialing them for you. Is that correct?
Correct. So that if you do get a live answer, you'll actually connect with that person instead of it just being a pre-recorded message. Because I like slide-out when I don't want to talk to somebody, but when I want to talk to somebody, I want to talk to phone burner.
No, and I love that. And it's just, I'm assuming you just upload it out of like a CSV file, or it's pretty easy to do.
Yep, CSV. It's CSV, and phone burner I think is pretty inexpensive. I think it's like $19 a month for like up to I think 1,500 calls. So we stay at that limit right now, and it seems to be working well. And also, sometimes we get those clients, they go, "Who are you?" And that's always, for me, I star that person because that's the person I go, I need to remind them who I am. And I usually send them a thank you card and just remind them. And, it tells me that when I get the "who are you," it means that I haven't been doing my job. So I go back, somebody 2 weeks ago said they went back and started tracking their thank you cards and their birthday cards. I honestly have to admit that I got off of that this first part of the year, and I am back on that again because that was huge for me. And I don't ever want anybody to say, "Who are you?"
Yeah, that's a bad slap in the face. And again, I love the transparency on it. And I think it's, it's not, if you're listening to Michele, it's not like she's saying, "Hey, we're putting in 300 people and we're trying to roll through those." I mean, 20 seems to be a manageable number. How long does that normally take? Assuming you get a couple people on the phone, or what's the range of time that you guys are doing that?
It's about an hour.
And so,
not bad at all.
I think as you guys are listening, again, I think it's just a great opportunity to think, okay, could I spend an hour doing this? And some of you are probably thinking, well, I don't want to invest the $20 a month. I don't want to have to learn something new. And that's okay too. I mean, do you have the ability to pull up 20 past clients 3 times a week and make a commitment to call them, or make a commitment that I'm going to make sure that I follow up with, all my outstanding leads that haven't come to application, or all my clients who've applied, but I haven't gotten the documentation to issue a pre-qualification letter yet. It just seems like there's a huge opportunity, and there's definitely some mortgage coach members that I coach that are having just phenomenal summers. I mean, I think it'll be interesting. I'm teeing up an interview for Dave in 60, 90 days, so he can talk about just some of the mammoth summers that some of his mortgage coach community are having. So I love that. How about you, Jen? Do you do anything like that with your team? Whoops, I think we lost Jen. I would love it if, we've only got a couple of minutes left, but certainly if somebody else did it and wanted to raise their hand, we would bring you in for a quick chat. I would probably throw out there, in this last bit, that's a version of a jam session, right? When Michele's doing that with her team, it's a committed time where we're all sitting there, and we're doing something. And you could certainly argue, well, that's not working on my business, I'm working in my business. But I do find that people need to set aside that time and have that intentionality. And it's interesting always to hear, I don't know about, do you live off your calendar, Michele, or how do you schedule your day to make sure that you don't get off track? If you're going to be doing that for an hour, is it, if I looked at your calendar, would it be blocked in there for the next whatever weeks and weeks and weeks, or is that just something you set each week?
Nope, it's blocked in for weeks. It's hard-coded in red, because red is unmovable for me. So it's a hard-coded in for red, so that knows that my team they cannot schedule anything during that time. So it is hard-coded, blocked, and I like it because for me, I can be sitting there on my phone because it's dialing for me, and I can do other things. I mean, it's not that I'm supposed to be multitasking, but like I can go take a walk around my property or take a walk around, and I know my phone's dialing for me, and it's making its calls. So I kind of take that as a little bit of a breathing time. I like making the calls. It's just freeing for me. It gets me out of the day-to-day and the transaction part of our job, and gets me back into what I love, which is talking to people and, making an impact. I mean, sometimes I catch up with a client and they're like, "Oh my gosh, it's been," the other one that I don't like to hear is, "Gosh, it's been like a year since I talked to you." I go, "Oh God," it's like just stabbing my heart. I go, "Well, I need to get better at that." And I usually just say, "Hey, how's the home going? Just wanted to check in." I think we rely so much on email and texting right now because they do help. Don't get me wrong, because I do still email and text people, but I really am going back to basics, which is that phone call. It makes the difference between the text and the email. It really does.
Well, and I like to hear you say that, and I love the fact that the technology does allow you to not be chained to your desk when it, when someone does answer the phone. And, one kind of alternative to that is one of the big real estate teams that my team works with. They actually have a virtual assistant who that's their job. They're in a different country, 12 hours off. And so every night, the virtual assistant uploads for their team of 20 realtors their call list for the next day into their system. They're using, I'm trying to remember the name of it, but it'll come to me in a minute now, of course, that I thought about it. But it's a similar system to Phone Burner. They're using one. It's a triple dialer, so it's dialing 3 at once, and it's built into Boomtown. It'll come to me in a minute. But that's what they use to do their dialing. And so again, you can think about systems and technology in ways that you can potentially, come in and do your job differently. And I love the fact that was an immovable piece for you. I'll just throw out there for me. When I was originating at my best, that was a block from 9 to 11:30. No one could touch it. For me, it wasn't red; it was green because that was my making money time. But ultimately, that's just what I did. I focused every morning where I just focused on what does I have to do today to get my clients across the finish line, and then I could spend the rest of the day. It didn't matter what I did. I literally got my business done by noon. By getting my business done by noon, then the rest of the day I could react. I could call them a low appraisal. I could put out the fire in underwriting. I could coach or mentor a team member. I could meet with a realtor. I could schedule client meetings, all the other things, but I'd gotten down the required activities of the day prior to me going. And so that was sort of the success variable for me. So first call open to the public is in the books. We got just a couple of minutes to wind down here. So let me just kind of throw out some reminders. So every Friday, 9 a.m. Pacific time, this call is going to continue to go. Dave and I started this sort of out of just a passion to help the insane productivity folks, last summer. And when he and I discussed leading this call, we really didn't know if it was going to go past a month, if it was going to go past, 2 months. And every time we got to our next committed line, we kind of had a quick check-in with each other and said, hey, what do you think? How should this go? And we kept getting great feedback from you guys and from the community. And then what we did to shake it up was that's when we started getting Jen and Danny and Michele on the call to sort of have another voice that came in. And so what I'll tell you guys is that you guys are the difference makers. If we can get you guys to raise your hands, we get you guys to ask questions, if we can get you guys to engage, I think these calls will be better. And I think if we can get, as Dave mentioned, some more of your friends and your folks on there, I think that would be really helpful as well. I would definitely encourage you to seek out the Insane Productivity with Mortgage Coach private group on Facebook and ask to be let into it, because there's lots of knowledge in there as well. You'll see lots of old conversations and lots of the posts that got put up during the previous calls. It's just a really kind of a value, there's just a lot of knowledge in there that I think most of you would find really, really good if you just spend a few minutes in there. If you can't find it, just direct message me and I will direct you there. Feel free to reach out that way as well. And so on behalf of Dave, on behalf of Michele and Jen, just want to say thanks so much for taking an hour out of your day. We hope it was valuable. Would love any feedback that you have. Feel free to reach out with that as well. And appreciate you guys who are returners still being part of this community. And thank you guys to everyone who was new, who was here. And again, thanks to our co-hosts. You guys are awesome. And we will be back next week with more on Insane Productivity with Mortgage Coach.
Thanks. Bye.
All right, guys. Take care.
Hi, everybody.